Hey, what's up, friends? This is Mack Brock here, and you are watching Bandkind.
Hey, I'm Nick, and I'm here with Mack Brock. He literally just got off the stage at the Extraordinary Women's Conference. Did you see me videoing you when you came off the thing?
I don't know who's doing what.
Yes.
I see some flashes, and I'm like, oh, okay.
Yes.
I try not to make direct eye contact because I think that's weird when you're filming and someone's just looking right at it. But yeah,
that's true. It's a sold-out women's event. And has it been extraordinary?
It has been awesome.
Really?
Yeah, I've done a couple of these conferences, and it's so cool. Like when people choose on a weekend to come to a conference, to come to receive from Jesus, to receive truth, to live in worship for the weekend. Yeah. There's something about that expectation that changes the dynamic when you're a worship leader. Yeah. Because it's not just a normal church where people maybe just are coming sometimes, or I don't know, bringing their friends, whatever. It's people are there because they really, really want to be there. And it's a really, I don't know, it's a unique experience.
I was just talking to the director out there, and he said that vulnerability and authenticity has been repeated over and over. Yes. And it's not even necessarily the theme of the conference. It just has organically kind of come together. Did you sense that as the one bringing worship?
That's such a great way to put it, because it feels, I don't know, there feels like there's a tenderness in the worship, and there's a tenderness even in the altar calls that we've had, and kind of challenging these ladies in their faith. There's just been a very receptive heart to everything that's been said from stage, or everything that's been saying, and you can really sense that tenderness in it.
I love a women's conference, and the last one that I was at, because the churches, different places come together into one and really become one. And I remember being at the altar, really praying for a breakthrough.
Yes.
And somebody in my team had said, I really wanted to go to that girl that was praying, and really I felt burdened for her and wanted to pray for her. And then she said, when she got up and turned around, she saw it was me. And I'm in her own church,
That's so
sweet. Sometimes we need to get out of our church walls to really make that connection.
Man, that's such a good point.
Isn't that true?
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
So how do you choose your, can I call it a set list, even though it's worship?
Yeah.
How do you choose that?
I mean, that's what I call it.
Yeah, okay.
It's a lot of different factors. I think sometimes I take a look at the whole, what's happening in the conference.
Yeah.
Because for conferences like this, it's a lot of you're doing one song, you're doing two songs here, one song there. It's broken up. It's not a stream, a full hour-long set.
Right.
And so a lot of times it's what's the atmosphere of the room going to be at the end of this message? Or what's the mood that we're trying to kind of still live in? And so a lot of times the songs that I'll choose reflect that. And so it's kind of determining just kind of what the atmosphere is, and what song would be best. What are we trying to say to God in these moments? Is this a moment of I need you, God? This is what I need from you, you to do in my life? Or are we in a moment of I just want to exalt you and I want to lift you up? And so I try to figure out where we're at, and then choose the songs based on that.
That's great.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily Mack Brock songs.
Oh no, a lot of them are not.
Yeah, are not?
Yeah, it's a lot of just normal church songs.
Yeah.
Songs that we would hear at any church across America right now. Yeah.
Right now, as I'm talking to you, Greater Things, the chorus is going through my mind, and it's one of my favorite Mack Brock songs of all time. Yeah. I don't know what about it. I could live in that song. Ooh.
I love that song too. I think that song, that was one of the, once I left staff at a church for a long time, that was one of the first songs I wrote.
Really?
And it was the thing that I love about that song is I love saying, I've seen this fight from the victory already.
Yes.
I've already seen it. I might be in the middle of the fight. I might be in the middle of a valley or in the middle of wilderness, but I know that you are victorious, and I know that I'm victorious because of you.
Amen.
And so just even saying that out loud is, it's still a special thing for me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Speaking of special things from Mack Brock, he is going to join Rest in the North Georgia mountains.
Yes.
What are you going to do there? What's your expectation as a first-time attender to this collaboration?
So they've been doing these for several years now, and this is my first time going. And it's just it's like a retreat for worship leaders, for church leaders to come and literally like do that. Nothing is expected of them. It's just to like rest. Through a thing called Worship Circle, which is a lot of worship leaders across America that kind of just gather together almost like a small group.
Yes.
So we meet once a month and we just share what's going on in our lives, challenge each other, encourage each other, and essentially Rest kind of came out of, well, let's meet in person. If we're doing all these Zoom meetings, let's do it in person. And so I'm really excited about it. Just one, for myself to slow down, to like take a breather for a minute.
Right.
But then to also, I love being around other worshipers, other worship leaders that we can encourage each other in person.
Right.
We can pray for each other in person. We can worship together in person. And there's just, I don't know, there's something about surrounding yourselves with like-hearted people.
Yes.
You know, that are seeking the same thing, that can challenge and encourage each other through the same things. And so I'm really excited about it. And it's with like some of the heroes of worship.
Matt Maher's going to be there. Natalie Grant's going to be there.
Paul
Charlie
Balash.
Hall, Paul Balash. Nice group of people.
The whole reason why I joined is just so I could be under their kind of leadership as well.
Wow.
And so they're awesome.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Well, I know all of you, just from Biblical Truth, all of you will speak into each other's lives because it's not about how long someone's been doing it. It's about what God wants to speak through that person to the group. And I know that at the jump, you guys are going to be praying for vulnerability.
Yes.
And so it's going to be tough, but it's also going to be very, very good.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that too. Well, Mack has another endeavor that he's doing with his
serious endeavor.
A very serious endeavor. And I have a couple questions going forward about this. Mack Brock and Josh Baldwin host Mack and Josh Are Good at Sports.
Yes. So a very serious podcast where we tackle the tough issues.
Yes.
No, it's it literally kind of came out of, me and Josh are like, really, really good friends. We're texting all the time. We're always texting about like sports stuff.
Yeah.
You know, football or basketball or whatever. And we were both like, hey, we're not going super hard on tour this fall. Why not do a podcast? It would just be fun. And it has been a blast. We're having a lot of fun with it. We're not sports journalists. We don't know all the details of what we're talking about. That's not the point of it. But figured, I don't know of any other sports podcast that's hosted by two worship leaders, so why not find our little lane and just ride in it.
I love it.
It's a lot of fun though.
I love it. And I first found out about this, through social media, but more in depth, I found out Josh Baldwin made a serious commitment to another tour that's out, Mac Powell and Friends. So Mike Donaghy and Josh Baldwin and David Leonard have all been commissioned to be on your guys' podcast.
Yeah. Or if you know us, we are at one point going to ask you to be on the podcast. Yeah.
So how do you incorporate like golf swings and worship leaders?
Well, it's funny because I think, a lot of musicians, it's either like sports or music, and there's no in between.
Wow.
I, for example, have zero athletic bone in my body, but a lot of like my musician friends, like, they do music as for a living, as their passion, as their job that they pursued, but then they love playing golf or they love pickup basketball, whatever it might be. Exactly. And so it's just finding that small Venn diagram of where it crosses over.
That is great. And plugging into, what's happening in the world right now.
Yeah, totally. And we talk a lot of like worship stuff too. We do talk a lot about what we do, traveling and leading worship.
Yeah. Off camera, I was just telling Mack a little bit of my backstory, which you have known about, just being at Forefront Records and with Toby Mack and with DC Talk before the Jesus Freak released quite a long, long time ago. But Toby used to have football games all the time. So, on Saturdays, they were like, our team gets together, we play football. Yep. And fortunately for me, I'm from very rural Montana, and there was 6 people in our class, and we played 6-man football. And so always it was like the PE teacher was like, okay, I want this class, because they have 6 people in their class, and he would run the plays,
That's
and
so
we would
fun.
walk through it. And so Toby Mack invited me and found out I had a pretty good spiral.
I love that. That's amazing. Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
I love it too. So tell me about parenting. How is this for you and your wife?
How much time do you have? No, so me and my wife, we have 2 biological kids, and we have a foster son that lives with us, who's been with us for about 2 years, a little over 2 years now. So we are in the thick of it. We have an 11-year-old, a 7-year-old, and then a 2.5-year-old.
Wow.
And it's the best thing that I've ever done. It's the most fun thing that I've ever done. It's by far the hardest thing that I've ever done.
Yeah.
Even, traveling this weekend, I'm like texting my wife because she had to send one of our kids to their room at 7 o'clock for the rest of the night. And she's like venting to me. And we're talking parenting strategy over text. So,
and you're leaning back.
It never stops. It never stops. But it's such a blessing, and my kids they're my favorite part of my life. Yeah.
Wow. I love that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's certainly, I can't speak from a dad's point of view, but from a mom's point of view, and there's a lot of moms out here in this event tonight, it is really vulnerable work to be a parent and to be a mother. And
it really is. It's such I don't know, I've said this before, but when I became a parent, that was my shift of trusting in the Lord totally changed. Wow. And I thought that I understood what trusting in God meant. But being a parent, it changed my whole perspective of I'm going to do whatever I can to be the best parent I can, to lead my kids right, to challenge them and push them.
Wow.
But at the end of the day, their lives are in Jesus. And even being a foster parent, where there's a whole lot of other variables, I can love our son as much as I can.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, I have to trust, Jesus loves him far more than I could ever love him.
Wow.
And so whatever the trajectory of his life is going to be, I can trust that. I can trust that he is in the hands of Jesus. I can do everything that I can do, but all the other stuff is out of my hands, and I just have to entrust him to the Lord.
Wow. Yeah, that's true. That's good wisdom right there.
Yeah.
Whether it's around the fire at your site, or whether it is here with Bandkind. Before I let you go, because I know you're running out to do your next set.
We don't stop here.
Talk to me about Delirious and that impression, that band's impression on you before going into Elevation, before any of that.
Yeah.
How did Martin Smith
pull
you into this?
Delirious, honestly, this isn't exaggerating. They changed my life. They changed what worship was to me. They changed what the ceiling of what could happen in worship, what could happen in a song. I learned so much about leading worship just in my room, singing Obsession over and over and over again. I learned so much about writing worship and writing songs. I learned about production, how to make a song sound like something that I would want to play, or that I would want to, my song to sound like. I just learned so much from them. They had such a massive impact on my life. Martin Smith, I'm not close to him, but I've been on tour with him, and just even being around him and around his family, he's the real deal. And he, just has challenged me in so many ways, seen and unseen in my life, through him and through that band, through Stu G, so many of those guys. I'm fascinated by them. I love them, and I'm very grateful for them.
I am too. I definitely am too. And if you think about Martin Smith, going back to the history of him, I don't know if you remember that he was in an iron lung to help him breathe because his lung capacity as a child was not strong enough to live on his own.
I've never even heard that story.
And he lived in, from the neck down, an iron lung to help him breathe.
Wow.
And his parents spoke blessing over him. And then when you see him sing out praise on stage,
man,
that
I had no
is
idea.
an answer to a parent's prayer.
Yeah, wow. Living living testimony.
Living
wow,
testimony. Living
Holy
testimony. Cow. And Ellie Linebear, too. I'm here
Yeah,
with Mack
she's
Brock.
the
He has to get on stage, so I'm going to let him go. Thank you so much for joining us.
We love Ellie Linebear.
We love Ellie Linebear.
We love her. She's
yes.
the best. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked to her on Bandkind, so
yes.
check it out. All right. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I'm falling through your